Hey, Coach. Jordan Silversmith, SB Nation.
Hey,
I just want to know, it's been 10 years since you've been a head coach in college football. Besides everything, what's been the biggest adjustment for you, and what have you got to kind of grow as a coach this time around?
Yeah, it has been 10 years since I've been a head coach, but in college. But I did have that experience at Alabama, and that meant a lot to me. And I was able to learn a ton in that program, obviously from Coach Saban, and so I think that has helped me relative to the landscape of college football now, entering this time in my career at Boston College. Look, I think the big thing is it comes down to, and you'll see this when these guys come up here. We have great guys. They care about Boston College. They go to class. They practice hard. They lift weights hard. They do things the right way, and I think that is something that's never changed relative to the places I've been at. But when you talk about the landscape of NIL and transfer portal and all those different things, yeah, those things have changed. We were able to retain our whole team after spring practice, so we feel really good about that, being able to develop these guys and continue to build the culture that we want to build. And then NIL, Boston College will be a part of the NIL program relative to college football. And look, we're looking forward to the season, and we've had a really good summer and can't wait to get started with training camp.
Coach, right side, first row.
Coach, Mike Galtieri, lightscamerasports.com. Coach, you're taking over a 7-6 team, so not exactly a 2-10 team.
Right.
It's a pretty good situation.
Yep.
Has there been something you've been pleasantly surprised with the last 3 months? And does that give you confidence that BC can win the ACC?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot. What has surprised me, things like that. I wouldn't say that anything surprised me. I love coaching the team. I love working with the players. You'll see 3 of them here today after I'm up here. Really enjoy the team. These guys, like I said earlier, they show up on time. They buy into what we're trying to get done relative to offense, defense, and special teams. I really like the staff. I've enjoyed working with the people at Boston College, from Father Leahy to Father Jack Butler to Reggie Terry to everybody involved on the outside of the program at the university. So there's nothing really that surprised me. It's been a job that I've loved to come to work to every single day.
Coach, your next 3 questions will come from the left side. We'll start first row right in front of you.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Boston College obviously has had a connection recruiting-wise with upstate New York. And coming from Syracuse, New York, I know that over the years there's been a lot of talent that's come through there. And I know that you've continued that bridge. What do you see in the state of New York and in upstate New York, those diamonds in the rough that maybe some other people don't see?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we try to do is basically draw a 400-mile circle around Boston College, and we have to get the majority of our roster from that area where parents can drive to watch their sons play. Kids have grown up understanding what Boston College is all about. Doesn't mean we won't recruit other areas like down south or out west or in Texas. If there's a connection to Boston College, we'll certainly do that. But, our experience, especially now with Doug Marrone on the staff, who was the head coach at Syracuse, was the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, that really helps. We have guys like Savon Huggins that have a real connection to North Jersey, New York City, which is really, really helpful to us. So, look, we got a long way to go. We just started out recruiting here. We got hired in February. I think we're on the right track, but we definitely want to recruit those areas, especially that area in New York and other areas, New England, North Jersey, all those areas that I think have in the past been a decent pipeline to Boston College.
Again, Coach, staying on the left, second row.
Mayor Dencham, the Players Lounge. How are you today?
Hi, good. How are you, man?
So, Boston native to Boston native, I have to know what the red bandana game means to you stepping into this new role as a head coach.
Yeah, the red bandana game is something that I have not experienced as a coach, obviously, but have heard a lot about and have seen the game on TV and what it means. Let's just start with the Crowther family, with Wells Crowther. What he did on 9/11 was something that you can't even put words to it. He's a hero. He's a hero in the sense that he saved so many lives, and he did it while wearing a red bandana that he wore as a lacrosse player at Boston College. So it's a game that means a lot to the people at BC, the alums of BC, but also means a lot to people all around the world. And so I think it's a game where we'll play Michigan State this year. Our guys understand the meaning of the game. These guys have played in the game before, so they really understand it. It'll be my first experience coaching in the game, but it's a very special game and a very special memory of Wells Crowther that we memorialized for that game.
Stay there on the same row, Coach, to her right, our left.
Yep.
I'm Katrina Sacken for Sports and Culture Media. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Having coached in the NFL and under some prominent college coaches, what did you take away from those experiences that you want to implement into those head coach strategies for your team this season?
Yeah, I've been, look, I've been fortunate. I've had the ability or the opportunity, to work with a number of great coaches. Everybody, obviously talks about Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, and two of the greatest of all time to ever do it. But I also worked for George O'Leary when I was at Georgia Tech, Ralph Friedgen when I was at the University of Maryland, learned a ton from them. I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of great players. Some of the best players to ever play the game, and I've learned a lot from them. And I think what I try to do with these guys here at Boston College, and I've already learned a lot from the guys that are sitting right here in front of you, is I try to impart some of my experiences, my wisdom. I've been doing this for 32 years, on these guys, and hopefully that's a role that I can play on this team that can help this team get better every day, because I've had a lot of great experiences. I've learned a lot, and we're doing it in our way at Boston College, but a lot of that has to do with what we've learned over the course of time, my staff, myself, and I think these guys are doing a great job of trying to, do what we're asking them to do.
Coach, follow the middle aisle up to the left, the gentleman in the black shirt and glasses.
Yep.
Right here in the back.
Yes, sir.
Coach Ralph Amsden, College Football Apostles, welcome back to the ACC.
Thank you.
The question I have for you, pre-Deshaun Watson as a head coach, your team's averaged about 30 yards rushing a season from the quarterback position. With Deshaun, that goes up to about 215 a season. We have a guy in Thomas Castellanos who he rushed for about 100 yards a game last year. What kind of adjustment is that going to be for you as a head coach, or would you like to see him maybe run a little bit less?
No, I think, look, he's our quarterback, and we're really excited to start training camp and continue to improve.
Coach, from the podium, given your history in this conference, what does accomplished greatness mean to you?
Accomplished greatness means, over time, relative to the ACC, this conference has always been associated with greatness. Whether it was national championship football teams, top bowl game participant football teams relative to where I've been. I was at Georgia Tech. I was at Maryland when Maryland was in the ACC, won a lot of games at those places. There's a great history in this conference, a great history of coaches. Some of the greatest coaches to ever coach college football coached in this league, and some of the greatest players to ever play college football played in this league. So that's what greatness means to me, and I think that this year we have a great group of teams, great players, great coaches. I've sat in on a couple ACC coaches meetings. The coaching in this league is very impressive, and I think it's going to be a great year for the ACC.
To your left, third row.
Hey, Coach, Tony Siracusa from Last Word on Sports.
Hey, Tony.
Because you've been in the pros and you've been in college, you've had a lot of experience, but the game is evolving, or the system really is evolving every year. How hard is it to get used to things like the transfer portal and roster management? And I saw as of yesterday with the House settlement, they've now upped the number of scholarships to 100 rosters to 105. How hard is it to make these kinds of adjustments?
I think that's what coaching's all about. Look, one thing, I said this outside in another interview I was in. When I was the head coach at Penn State, we dealt with the transfer portal right there. Right? When the sanctions came out 12 years ago at Penn State, any guy on our team could transfer. We did have some guys transfer, but the majority of our team stuck together because they knew that they were going to be coached very well, and they knew that they would have a chance to win. And to me, that's really what it's all about, the connection between the coach and the players, the assistant coaches, the head coach, the strength coach, and the players, so that the players have a trust, have a belief that you're going to do right by them. And I think that's really what coaching's all about. And coaching is also all about being able to adapt. One thing in the guys that I've worked for is, Nick Saban would say it all the time, Bill Belichick would say it all the time, you've got to adapt. If you don't adapt, then the game's going to pass you by. So I think we're doing a good job of that at BC. We're adapting to the changing times. We have a lot of great people in the administration that are helping with that, obviously, Blake James, our athletic director. But, we're very adaptable, and I think we're on the right track.
Coach, thank you for the time. You can switch places with your quarterback, Thomas.
Great,
if
thank
you would,
you.
please come up. Folks, again, if you have asked a question, please reintroduce yourselves to our student athletes. Thomas, your first question will come to your right in the first row.
Hey, Thomas.
Hey,
Mike Galtieri, Lights, Camera, Sports. Tom, you had 2,248 yards passing, 1,113 yards rushing last year, 2023. Should you be a part of the Heisman conversation?
I believe so. Last year, kind of was thrown in the fire as a young guy. It was kind of a blur, so I was kind of out there just playing ball. I feel like this year I'll have to say so on that. I feel like this year I'll be more mature. The game will be more slower, and I think I'll do more things.
Thomas, we're going to stay on that row just right in front of you.
Jalen Wilson, CSB Nation. First off, Thomas, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. So, Bill O'Brien, of course, your head coach, he's coached Tom Brady, who didn't turn over the ball a lot. He coached Bryce Young in college, who was a low turnover guy in college as well. And I wanted to know, you had 15 touchdowns and 14 interceptions last year. Has that been a focus point this season with Bill O'Brien to get better at lowering the turnover rate and protecting the ball this season?
Most definitely. That played a big factor. But like I said, I was kind of thrown in the fire last year. Kind of, it was a blur. I was a young guy, just trying to make plays and just playing, give guys opportunity. But yeah, like I said, this year it'd be like different. Like what Bill said, piggyback off what he said. What we've been doing this all season, it's been really great, and it will be great. But you definitely will see, a change of that, of protecting the ball, throwing the ball away, sliding, getting out of bounds, stuff in that nature.
Thomas, next question just in front of you to your left, first row.
Thomas, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. When you look at all the success that you had last season and now having Bill O'Brien come in, what is it about the offense that you're most excited about going into this year? What are some of those wrinkles, some of those weapons that you have? What should we know about Boston College and the Eagles moving forward offensively?
I think what having Coach Bill OB, I'm not gonna stop saying this. I think it's the best thing to happen to my career. He's been around a lot of great quarterbacks, and to be coaching me is it's an honor. I'm very thankful. But I can't really go into detail about the offense, but it'll be amazing. You see more explosive plays down the field, and me throwing the ball a lot more.
Thomas, from the podium, looking for a reaction. This is not a question. Last year, you were the college offensive MVP in a bowl game that was played in a Major League Baseball stadium. 340 million people in this country. You might be one of 20 that can claim that. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Let's go left side up the aisle and to the left, if we can bring it this way. Gentleman in the glasses, just off the aisle.
Hi, Ralph Amsden, College Football Apostles. You once shared a quarterback room with Mikey Keene, and last year both of you get the opportunity to start, both of you get the opportunity to show what you can do. And that's just the reality of college football now. Sometimes you got to go to a second place to find your footing. Did you know that quarterback room was special, and what has it been like to have your opportunity and also see him get his?
Oh, yes. Besides Mikey Keene, we had John Rice Plumlee as well. We had 3 unbelievable quarterbacks in that room. Those guys taught me a lot my freshman year at UCF. Mikey Keene was an absolutely great leader. John Rice as well. Like I said, I took a lot from those guys. I learned, and I just kind of took it with me to Boston College. And, with my opportunity at Boston College, it just made me look back at UCF and, I couldn't regret it,
Thomas, your last question to your right, fourth row.
Hey, Thomas, Jordan Silversmith, SB Nation. Your coach mentioned it, that you guys brought a lot of talent back. You mentioned yourself how important it is getting another year under your belt. How important is it, and how crucial of an offseason was it that you had so much returning talent, and what does that do for the team going into the season?
That's good. Like, this gentleman up here said, he mentioned the stats and stuff like that. This year we have a lot of weapons. We have the returning guys, and we have some guys around me. So I think this year, like I said, it'll be a lot of explosive plays, and we have a lot of great weapons around me. So I feel like this year offensively will be really good.
Thomas, thank you. You can switch spots with Donovan.
Thank you.
Folks, we'll have Donovan for a couple of minutes. Once again, please reintroduce yourselves to our student athletes, and we will, Donovan, take the first question to your right, first row, and then we'll stay on the first row.
Alrighty.
Hey, Donovan.
How you doing?
Mike Galtieri, Lights Camera Sports. BC lost a lot on the defensive line coming out of last year. Talk about what you've done this offseason to raise your game and to be a big presence this coming season.
Yeah, I would say a lot of extra work, obviously. We all say that we get a lot of extra work in, but just really fine-tuning the small things that we, kind of got away from last year. That being, just getting off the ball, just being explosive, things of that nature, things that, defensive linemen do. I think that's been a really big emphasis for this D-line coming up this year, as well as myself. So.
Stay on the first row there, right in front of you.
Hey, Donovan.
How you doing?
How are you doing?
Good.
Deshaun Miner, College Football Nation. When I think of BC and people that just exemplify BC culture, you automatically come to my mind. I know this offseason was very stressful with all the new changes, head coach. You went from Halfley to O'Brien.
Yeah.
Talk to me and talk to us, the media, about how the culture has shifted at BC over the last, let's say, 9 months since the Fenway Bowl.
I would say it added a spark to this team, a new hunger. Like said prior, guys decided to stay instead of leaving. That just goes to show that guys are believing in what we have here, and wanting to buy into what Coach Bill O'Brien has brought to the table, has brought to the new program, the new mentality, the new culture. So just that fire, honestly, that hunger that we've been training with this past winter, this past summer, these past couple months since the change happened. So.
Donovan, to your left, first row.
Donovan, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. We know that the history of Boston College, as far as being in the trenches and defensively, there's a lot of positive history in that respect. Being a part of that, do you feel that? Do you feel what came before you when you're out there? Do you feel that on your shoulders? And if you do, what does that mean to you to be a part of Boston College defensively?
Yeah, it means a lot. I don't think it's added pressure or anything like that. But it kind of hit home when you're on the sideline and you see a guy like Matthias Kiwanuka, come up to you, he tapped me on the shoulder last year during one of the home games and was just like, did you see this, that, and the third on the field? And just being able to be around, guys like that who were in the same, seats in the meeting room as myself, and who played at such a high level, him being such a great player like that, it means a lot. And it's great to have those guys come back around, especially with Coach O'Brien. Those guys are coming back around now, around campus, and that we're able to pick their brains now. We're able to get some tips and some tricks, and to be a part of that, that whole legacy. I just want to cement myself as well, being one of those players as well. So.
Donovan, from the podium, describe your technique. How do you get into the backfield so quickly, so often?
I would say it's just my God-given ability, just speed and elusiveness, and just having an instinct to get to the ball. Some things can't always be coached. Sometimes you just got to go play football, do what you were doing since you were 7, 8 years old. I started playing at 7, so just getting back to those days, just tackle the man with the ball. That's pretty much it.
Other questions from the room for Donovan? Donovan, before we bring up Drew Kendall, tell us how good Drew is.
Drew Kendall he's one of those ones. That's how we would say it. Definitely somebody whose name is going to be called by the commissioner very soon, if not after this season, after next season for sure. And it's great to go against a guy like that every single day in practice. So it's a nice little segue to bring my guy up here.
I think we got one more question before we know we're good. So segue is fine. So let's do that. Why don't you guys switch places?
We got
well done.
Here. Oh, fine.
Drew, as you're coming up, we're going to ask you first question. How good is Donovan? So get it ready. So Drew, how good is Donovan?
I appreciate that, by the way. Everything he said, I can say the same about him. He's a pain to block every day. He's always in the backfield saying something to us, but he's pushing us to get better. And, there's no doubt he's going to hear his name called after this season. So he pushes us every day. We all get better from him.
From the room, first row to your right.
Hey, Drew. Mike Galtieri, Lights, Camera, Sports. Drew, your dad, Pete, played at BC. Just talk about how it was growing up, and did you always want to go to Boston College to play football? And then how excited are you this season to lead the offensive line?
Yeah. So it's been a great experience. And then just leading the offensive line this year, yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of experienced guys in the room, so it's kind of we all do it. Me, Ozzie Trapillo, Logan Taylor. They're all incredible players. So we're expecting a big season out of all of us. Not to mention Jude Bowery, Jack Conley, Kevin Klein, Dwayne Alec, all those guys are all coming up, and they're all going to have a great season, so I'm excited about that.
Drew, to your left, second row, right in the middle.
Mayor Dencham, the Players Lounge, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
So this piggybacks off the other question. Your dad played football at BC. He was also drafted first round by the Seahawks. How has he impacted the way that you play ball?
He's coached.
Drew, to your left, right there in the front row.
Drew, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Doug Marone's in the building, former offensive lineman, and has obviously worked in his career with the offensive line. Have you taken ample time to pick his brain about what you're doing and what you're trying to do at the next level?
Yeah, I've worked with Coach Marone a lot now. The offensive line gets together, works with him a couple times a week over the summer. So we really enjoy doing that. So he also coached my dad when he was with the Jets. So we've bonded over that. Watched some of my dad's old tape, which was fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, he was a former head coach in the NFL, former head coach in college football, just was the Saints offensive line coach. So he's taught me a lot about some of the great centers he's coached, like Eric McCoy most recently, and how I can implement some of that into my game.
Other questions for Drew from the room? Drew will go right side, fourth row or so, right in the middle.
Hey, Drew, Jordan Silversmith, SB Nation. How important is it that you know who your starter is going into this offseason? And can you just talk about your relationship with Thomas as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, it just helps build that continuity between center and quarterback. It's really important, run game, pass game, make sure we're on the same page, seeing things the same way. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult when you don't know. Like when we were going into last season, it was a bit of a challenge, and it took time to get adjusted to as the season went on, which you'd rather have that during camp or even spring ball. But no, I mean, this camp's going to be really important for us to keep building that up, but it's nice that we have a season under our belt and we kind of know how we play the game.
Drew, from the podium, no one talks about the center until something goes wrong. How do you feel about that as an industry of centers?
It's part of the job at this point. I'm used to it, but I don't know. It comes with the position.
Thank you. Anything else for Drew? We'll go last question, front row, right in front of you, Drew. Right side.
Hey, Drew. Deshaun Miner, College Football Nation. We at CFB Nation know how beautiful and loyal the Boston College community is.
Yeah.
I want you to spend some time talking about a community and how you've seen the community grow closer to this team over the course of time that you've been there.
That's a good question. Just from a team standpoint, we do a lot of like trying to get in the community and like make those relationships at the school. So just trying to engage with the student body has been big for us, and just really bonding with them to get them to know who we are, like our personality. Like we're outside of football with our helmets off, with our shoulder pads off, just who we are as humans in the classroom and stuff like that. So I think that's what Coach O'Brien preaches, like going to class, like talking, actually participating, and then through that you're able to build that like community with everyone else at the school.
Drew, thank you. Boston College, good luck this season.
Thank you, guys.
Folks, Duke is due up in the room almost immediately at 1:15, so